Hello, everyone, and welcome to English 3153 Technical Writing. My name is Cassandra Woody. I go by Casey, as you can see there in parentheses. I have offered a quick picture of myself because in an online class, sometimes you never know what the person who is teaching you looks like. So this is me. I'm also hoping that many of you will come by and see me in office hours in Kate 2, room 206. So if and when you do, you will know that that is the face that you're looking for. The lady, not the little guy. The little guy is my son and my favorite person in the world, Owen. But let's talk about a little bit who I am. So you can get to know me as much as possible in an online setting. So I'm a full-time faculty member for the English department, and I actually did my own undergraduate and graduate work here at OU. So I'm a big fan and very familiar with the University of Oklahoma. Strangely, I actually worked as an AutoCAD technician for years before I went to graduate school. My dad and uncle both owned land surveying companies, so I started out working for my dad and then my uncle. Then I decided I didn't want to work for family, so I went to a firm called Smith Roberts Baldischweiler in downtown Oklahoma City. I worked mostly with land surveyors, but I also worked with our civil engineers and civil engineers that worked at our client companies. A few of the projects that I worked on personally are the outlet malls that are in Oklahoma City. That was a gigantic headache, and I was the lead person on that, but I'm proud to have accomplished something as large as that. I also did work on countless ideal home subdivisions. I worked both in the office and in the field. So I didn't just do CAD work. I also worked in the field doing data collection with our field crews. And I was lucky enough to get to do the boundary work for the Extreme Home Makeover show that they did here in Slaughterville, Oklahoma, 100 years ago when I was still a CAD tech. So while I do teach English, writing, and composition here at OU for a living, and I have my degrees in English, I also have had experience outside my own field that I hope can really make me a better teacher for you all. I worked when I was a CAD technician in all capacities while I did it, from going out in the field and getting red downs on storm sewer structures and driving pins for property corners, to writing legal descriptions and plotting easements, and even being a project coordinator to where I kind of did all the legal research and prepped our field crews to go out into the field. And I used AutoCAD and Eagle Point to do all that. So I feel like I'm a little bit of a rarity in the English department that I have this weird land surveying background, but I'm hoping it can really help us out. Enough about me, though. Let's get on to this class and what we'll be doing. So first of all, what you'll need, the main text that we're going to use are Steve Krug's Rocket Surgery Made Easy, which we're going to use in kind of the last half of the semester. And then you'll also be using chapters from Paul Anderson's Technical Communication, a Reader-Centered Approach, the 8th edition. And then I'll have other readings throughout, but those will be available online. We'll also be doing things like watching YouTube videos or reading kind of popular articles and different chapter excerpts, but I'll provide those online within Canvas. So some important parts of the syllabus that I want to go over because you will have a syllabus quiz that's due today. So in English 3153, you're going to learn to analyze and produce technical documents across a variety of settings, from the basic lab report to instruction sets. This course will take a user-centered design research approach to writing for science, workplace, and consumer settings. The main goals that we have for you for this class is to learn to produce technical communication genres, to learn to respond to the rhetorical situations of professional settings, to learn to design documents in specific ways for specific audiences, to learn to translate technical information to non-technical audiences. This is so critical in anyone's field, to be able to talk to audiences outside our own field, and to learn to work, write, and present collaboratively. So we are going to do our final project, which is our biggest project. It's usability test and usability report. We're going to work in groups, and that will happen in the last part of the semester. It's the very last one that we do. But so I do want you to prepare yourself, though, that I'm going to assign you to groups. You all are going to have to find a way. I don't care how you do it. It's whatever works best for everyone in the group. But come up with a game plan to work collaboratively. It is so important that you all be able to work collaboratively to find out how to use strengths of different people in a group, and also to learn how to communicate well, even when we're doing something outside of the classroom like an online class. But I do want you to be prepared for that. All right, some important tidbits. So first of all, Canvas, obviously, that's how you're watching this. Our entire course is set up through Canvas. So Canvas is set up in week-long sessions, and I release those sessions 1 week at a time. I'll release the coming week's lesson on Friday evenings. So to prepare for the week, you should review the week's lessons as well as the homework calendar, so you will know what assignments and activities the week holds. You'll notice on the syllabus page, you can see everything that we're going to be doing throughout this semester, but I haven't released it yet. It does give you an idea to see kind of what's due when, though. You also have within the syllabus that I have downloaded, it has a homework calendar, and that tells you exactly what we're going to be doing from day one till the end day. You'll also notice that I have actual dates in parentheses outside of all your Canvas activities, so you should know exactly what to do and when to do it. If there is anything confusing about the Canvas setup, please let me know from the very beginning. The sooner we tackle that, the easier this class is going to be for you. So if you have any questions about the unit or major assignments, please also post those to discussion boards dedicated to the week's lesson. So I have a little discussion board that you can post to, or you can just email them directly to me. But again, anytime you have questions, be sure to get them to me as soon as possible. I am a very student-centered instructor, and so I want to do what I can to be sure that this class is smooth sailing for everyone. So let me know at any time if you have any questions. So throughout this course, you're going to receive grades on 4 major assignments that we'll do, but you're also going to get grades on discussion posts, peer reviews, homeworks, and quizzes. All of these assignments are under modules. If you just follow your modules one at a time, you will know exactly what's due and when. And again, you can see it posted in the syllabus, exactly what's due and when. Canvas is going to give you reminders because I have the date set in. I've also ordered the assignments by the due date within the unit. So if you just follow that like a path, you're going to be good to go. You can also check your grades throughout the semester by clicking the Grades tab in Canvas, and that will show you kind of where you are, what your grades are at the time. So be sure to kind of keep tabs on that. Then assignments are due by 11:59 on the due date. So you'll notice as you go through Canvas, generally you'll be turning assignments in on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that is, your due date is always 11:59 p.m. The only time that your due date is not going to be on a Tuesday or Thursday is going to be whenever you have responses to peer reviews, which will be 24 hours after the rough draft is due, and then your major assignments are due Sunday at 11:59. So I give you kind of the entire weekend to work on them. You are always welcome to turn assignments in early, but those are when the due dates are. When you do rough drafts or peer review, like I said, so the rough drafts will always be due on a Tuesday or a Thursday by 11:59, but then you will have 24 hours to respond to your peers. So that means if you have a rough draft that's due Tuesday at 11:59, then your response for your peers isn't due until Wednesday at 11:59. For each major assignment section that we do, you're going to be doing peer review with your classmates. This is a big part of your grade. Peer review is very important to me, so I ask you to engage that and take it very seriously. You'll be graded on your level of engagement with these things. Sometimes peer review is going to be assigned through the actual Dropbox, and then in other cases, we'll do it through discussion board. It will all be very clearly laid out once we get into Canvas, though. Just know, though, that I am looking at how you're actually engaging with peer review, and I'm giving you grades on those. Another kind of couple key points to keep in mind about this class is that there are no revisions. So the final product that you turn in, that's the final product and it can't be revised. You'll be doing revisions throughout the course. Using peer feedback and things like that. So there aren't any revisions. Once you get your final grade, that is your final grade. You do have 1 2-day extension. So say you're scrambling and you've just had a crazy week and you know that your final product is just not where it needs to be. You can email me, and it has to be before the due date, and let me know, hey, I need 2 extra days, and it's done. You get that one time. Also, I do not accept late work at all whatsoever unless you have a documented emergency. So if there's a medical emergency or there's something crazy happens and you can provide some kind of proof of it, I will let you make up the work. Otherwise, I forgot, or Canvas wouldn't let me on when I got on 11:58 to do it. These aren't excuses. There is no late work, so I would very strongly recommend not waiting until, like I said, 11:30 to do homework, because Canvas can be a bear sometimes. So get your homework done a little bit earlier so you don't run into those glitches. All right, so things to know. So technical writing is about the communication of technical information to lay audiences. So this is really critical. What we're doing in this class is we're not just figuring out how to kind of preach to the choir, right? We're figuring out how we take the information that's vital to our field and that's coming from our field and to talk to people outside of our field, because we're going to have to do that. No matter what field you're in, you're going to have to be able to talk to people who don't have the skills and information that you do. So that's a big part of technical writing, is learning how to do that. This course is a reading, production, and discussion course. So you're going to be doing all 3 and graded all 3. Discussion board participation is required in this course. So you have to participate in those discussion boards, and I will specify sometimes how long I want your post to be or how many people I want you to respond to. You're going to be graded on all that, and also graded on your level of engagement and the depth that you go into. And then all documents created in this course hold the potential to be, and actually have been used by former students as writing samples in the future, so treat them as such. You are going to be able to provide future employers with these as samples of work that you've done. So know that we're not just doing these as assignments, we're professionalizing right now. So if you plan on working with clients, bosses, the public, or anyone else that is not an expert in your field in the future, you're going to need to know how to create these user-centered communications. And so we're going to do that. And you can also use them to demonstrate to future bosses how you can do this. I also want to point out that you have quite a bit of latitude as far as topic choice goes in many of the assignments. So just think about the topics that serve best for you in your future. I'm not going to kind of box you into what you need to do, but I want you to do assignments or pick topics that are really going to help you, that are going to push you, that you're going to be able to use as samples in the future. So kind of, think about that whenever you're making decisions on like what you want to tackle for each of the assignments. So some common errors or slip-ups that might occur or can occur or to avoid during this semester, especially for an online course. Be sure that you're logging into Canvas daily and that you're looking at it. So like I said, Tuesday and Thursdays are the 2 days that I have things due, but be sure that you're making it a habit to kind of look at Canvas. Sometimes I post things in announcements as well that I think might be helpful to you or reminders to you. So logging into Canvas daily is going to be very helpful. Be sure that you're reading the assignment sheets. You can write something really well, but if you're not responding appropriately to the assignment sheet, you can still get a C or D or even an F on the assignment. Each of the assignments in this course have many facets to them, and they have a lot of little like sub assignments within them that you need to address to do well on them. So please be sure to read the assignment sheets. Always, 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 you're writing in a context. For this class, the context that you're writing in is to respond to these specific prompts. So be sure that you're reading them. Another common error is not turning assignments in on time because I don't accept late work. This can be devastating. So be sure that you are mapping out the time to do and turn in your assignments when they're due. Not keeping up with daily work, so letting discussion boards, the quizzes, the daily writing assignment slide by. Participation in homework is 20% of your grade. I feel like sometimes students think, oh, well, that's only 20%, no big deal. But if you don't do this part, you're starting out at an 80%. That means if you get a 100 on everything you do, a B is the highest, and no one gets a 100 on everything they do. It's also really easy to do. The daily work or the Tuesday, Thursday work that you'll be doing, it's not insanely hard. It helps prepare you for the assignments that you're doing, and it also helps give you that 20% that you need in case one assignment is a little bit tough or you do miss something here or there. Not asking questions is also another common error. I am here to help. I am here to answer any questions that you have. So you can ask me through email. You can come to my office hours. Again, I'm in room 206 in Kate Center 2. You can also ask your classmates. Do not hesitate to ask if you have questions about anything. Don't let yourself be frustrated. I'm here to, like I said before, make this go smoothly for you. So, use me. Let me be a tool for that. And then the final common error is not viewing lectures. I know it's not super fun to listen to people talk for a long period of time, but I'm going to be giving you helpful hints and tidbits in the lectures. So be sure that you're viewing those whenever they come up. So assignments, the major assignments we're going to be doing in this class is we're going to be doing an application packet that will include resume and cover letters. We're going to be doing an instruction set. We're going to be doing a text-to-pop translation or a popular translation, to where you kind of address a miscommunication in your field and you propose a popular translation to get the word out to lay people. And then we're going to be doing a usability test proposal. And this is worth the most of all of the assignments, and this is also the assignment that you'll be working in groups. So there are a lot of steps to this and it's worth the most, but I'm going to be putting you in groups of 4 so you can distribute the work on that one. And then remember that a continuing assignment is that throughout the course you'll be doing discussion boards, taking quizzes, and completing homework assignments as well. So a key to this course is that it is user-centered. So this is about user-centered design and user-centered communication. So the difference between writing a lab report and writing a lab report that a reader will understand and use in the future is what we're focused on. We're not just producing documents, we're producing documents that actually can effectively communicate to the audience that it needs to. There is no field or career in which knowing what the user of your text or design wants won't be useful. So everyone does usability, and we are really capitalizing this on this class. So our director of technical writing, Dr. William Kurlinkus, is a very user-centered, focused person, and he has designed a fantastically innovative curriculum that really helps give the students that take this technical writing course an edge in the way that it considers users, and it considers audience, and it considers the rhetorical aspects of kind of creating technical documents in a way that effective communication really comes out in the end. So here I have a quote by Donald Norman. It says, most accidents are attributed to human error, but in almost all cases, the human error was the direct result of poor design. So Donald Norman wrote The Design of Everyday Things, and his kind of big push is that if a user can't use something, it is never the user's fault, it's the designer's fault. People should not have to think to be able to use things. Things should be intuitive. So this is a drive of Apple, right? That a child can use it. That you don't have to be super tech savvy to be able to use a piece of technology. So what we want to think of is how we can create documents that people don't have to stop and think, what does that mean? Or do I get what's going on here? That it's clear enough and it's mapped out in a way that anyone who reads it or comes into contact with it can understand it. So let's go on to an example of someone who has implemented user-centered design. So we're going to look at these prescription bottles as an example of poorly designed bottles or products. So let's take a look at these across the four of them. We can see inconsistent labeling. It all looks different. Information is in different places, different sizes. It's hard to tell what information is going to be where. The branding is always the clearest. I don't know what this is, but I know it's from Target, and I know this is from Walgreens. So I'm not quite sure what the medication is yet, but I certainly know the pharmacy from which it came. There are confusing numbers that don't make sense. The curved shape. So if you take into account that a population that is almost always on at least 2+ medications are the elderly, a curved shape is not convenient, especially a tiny bottle like this. It's also got tiny type, so taking into account its common users, that's not helpful at all. And if anyone has ever paid attention to this, generally instructions or warnings are pill off. So they're either hidden behind something else or they're just stuck on the bottle in random places. And they're usually important pieces of information that people need to see and know where they are at all times. I know whenever I've gotten a medication for anything, I have to search around. Do I eat with this or do I not? Is this going to interact with things? So in general, something that's very important, prescription bottles are very poorly designed. So a woman by the name of Deborah Adler came along and created this bottle here. How this came about is that Adler's grandmother accidentally took her grandfather's medication because of the crap design of the prescription bottles. So her grandmother and grandfather had the same first initial and then the same last name, obviously. So there was no way to tell. And then there was tiny type, so she couldn't exactly read what the medication was. So Adler came along and she created this. You can see that these bottles consider the actual user. So first of all, you have the name of the medication in giant print at the top, so you know exactly what it is. You'll see these little rings right here. These actually correspond to a person in the household. So if you have 3 people in the household, one will be red, one will be orange, one will be blue. You know if a bottle doesn't have a red ring around it, it's not your bottle. So you don't even have to read print. You just know what your color is. Another way to take in the common users of many medications. People with poor eyesight don't have to rely on reading tiny script. They know, okay, that's red, that's definitely mine, or that's blue, it's not. So then there are easy to read labels that are actually designed consistently. So you know how to take it. First, you know what it is, what the dosage is, you know how to take it. These are the important parts. The pharmacy is at the very bottom because that is the least important part of a medication, is where it came from. Also, the warnings are printed in a consistent way, so you can go through and all warnings are listed out. They're not just random stickers stuck on a bottle. So these two from here to here are examples of a person who saw that a design was not working for the users and made changes to improve the design drastically. That's taking the user and the audience into account. So this kind of idea of audience, that's going to come into play consistently in everything that we do in this class. Every document that you write has an audience, and you need to be writing to that audience. You need to be making rhetorical decisions as to what you put, how you put it, and why you put it. So how do we know what an audience wants? We think about this concept called rhetoric, right? So the economics of attention. What do they need to know? What do they care about? What are their values? We're going to be using ethos, pathos, and logos where they're appropriate. So ethos is, what do we trust? What is a person's character? You know, if someone is motivated by money, does that mean vaccines are motivated by drug companies? You have to think about, when we think about like anti-vaxxers, right? When we're speaking to them, we can't use the ethos of a drug company if they think that drug companies are just trying to get money. So you have to make rhetorical decisions on how to build ethos. What are you going to trust and why are you going to trust it? And then there's pathos. How are people feeling? In science, it's often afraid or anxious about what's going on. Scientists are portrayed as cold sometimes. Scientists studying tornadoes talk about statistics like death, but they're showing no emotion. So you think about the way that you use pathos to communicate effectively and to connect with the audience that you're speaking to, so you're not alienating that audience. And then finally, logos, which is logic. Again, these are the facts. What do people believe? How do they reason? What kind of evidence is going to resonate with them? These are all elements that you need to take into account when you're writing documents or you're doing technical communication. And then also knowing audience is a tool to gauge context and audience values, or knowing the situation. So you want to kind of understand the context that you're walking into and understand the values of the audience. That helps you make decisions. Now I want you to just take a little bit of time. It's about 8 minutes to watch this video on redesigning government. So this video is going to help you think about what it means to design with users in mind, because this is a driving force not only of this class, but of design out in the real world. Whatever field you go into, you need to consider the people who will be coming into contact with documents you draft, the products you design, or the structures you lay out. One of the biggest mistakes we make when we communicate as professionals in any field is that we assume everyone has the same knowledge and skill set that we do, or the same values, or the same beliefs, or that the same kind of evidence is going to work the same way. But that's not the case. And assuming that it is detrimental to your work as a professional and to the people that you're trying to serve. So I just want everyone to take 8 minutes to watch this video and think about what user-centered design means, what it is, why it's so important, and how you can start to use it within this class.